Hi. In this video, we will learn about data manipulation shortcuts in Excel.
Let's look at data manipulation shortcuts in Excel. So the basic shortcuts are Control-C for copy, Control-V for paste, and Control-X for cut. So just quickly look at those as well. So if you want to copy these, you can select them. Control-C to copy, and then to paste, Control-V. So let me come here and press Control-V. Again, if you want to cut or completely remove, it's Control-X, and then I can come and paste it here with Control-V. So it got completely removed from there. For paste special, we can use two shortcuts, Control-Alt-V or Alt-ES. So both work the same way. Let's say we want to copy these cells, Control-C, and if I want to paste values, I can come into this cell. I'll use Alt-ES, and the paste special box opens, and here I will select values and say OK. So here only the values have been copied. So here there's a formula, but only the value has been copied over here. So let's check the formulas option. We'll again copy this, Control-C, come here, and Alt-ES to go into the paste special, and here I will go for the formulas option and say OK. So here these are values, but here the formula has been copied from here. So let's try the formulas and number formats. So here I will change the number format of this number to 2 decimal points, and I'll put the 1000 separator here. And let me copy this, Control-C, and I will come here, Alt-ES, and formulas and number formats, and say OK. See, the number formats for these two have been copied here, and the formula has been copied as well. Then we have another useful function. So we have another useful feature in paste special where you can multiply values. So here we got some sales data, and let's say we want to apply a 5% growth rate into these sales values. Of course, we can write a formula to multiply this separately into, let's say, 1.05 like that, and copy it down. But without doing formulas, if you want to do it, you can type over here 1.05. So that is 1 plus the growth rate, 5%. And then what I can do is I can copy that, Control-C, and then I can select all the sales values over here, go to Alt-ES, and here I will go for multiply. So these values will be multiplied by this 1.05. And I got the values updated. So these are the same values with a 5% growth rate. So even on this situation over here, we got a formula that adds branch 1 and branch 2 values, total sales. So this can also be increased by 10%. So here we want to apply a 10% growth rate. So let me type 1.1 here. That's for 1.10. 1 plus the growth rate of 10%. And then I will select this cell, Control-C, and then I select all the cells that I want to increase by 10%, and then Alt-ES and multiply and say OK. So here everything has been increased by 10%, and if you look at the figures, they don't have any change or formula because they are just numbers over here. But the formula is still intact. That is R32 plus S32, branch 1, branch 2 sales. But see, here we had the multiplication by 1.1 added. So the formula has also got updated. So the formula is still there, but it has been increased by the 10% growth rate. And there's another common situation we can use this. So generally, sometimes you have this sales growth or whatever the percentage given in number form. If we were to change this into percentage, you see, you don't get the right figures. So the right way to do this is, let me do a control reset undo, is to either divide all of these by 100 and then apply the formatting here percentage, or there's another way. You can type in 1% or 0.01 into a cell like this and Control C to copy that. Then I select everything that I want to change into percentage, Alt S, and here I will multiply. So all these values will be multiplied by 1%. And then straight away I got all converted to the proper percentage form without using formulas. So we also have shortcuts that we can use for command paste options like values. You can use Alt S and at the end you put a V. So that is because if you go to Alt S, if you go to the paste special, you see for formulas, this F is underlined. So that means after pressing Alt S, if you press F, it will go to formulas. So here Alt S and F is formulas. For values is Alt S and V. V is underlined. For formats, it's T. T is underlined there. Comments is C. Validation is N. And likewise, we have for multiply is N. And for transpose, it's E. So if you are frequently using this, it might be useful for you to learn these shortcuts as well. So let's see the paste special values option. I will select these two, Control C, come here and press Alt S and then V and enter. So it has pasted the values. So Excel, if you got Excel 365, for paste special values, you have a special shortcut, Control Shift and V. So that's only available on Excel 365. So if I come here, I do a Control C, and here I can press Control Shift and V. So that's a shorter method only available in Excel 365 for values. Control Shift V. If you want to do paste special formulas, it's Alt S and then F. So I can select this, Control C, come here, Alt S and then F and enter. And for formats, we got Alt S T. So let me copy this, Control C, come here, Alt S and then T and enter. So only the formats I got copied here. Then we got transpose as well. So if you copy like this, Control C, and I want to transpose here, Alt S and E, and enter. I got this transpose from vertical to horizontal. Then we have a autofill kind of a copyright shortcut. So if you want to copy anything to the right, you can go to that cell and press Ctrl and R. So for example, if I want to copy this value over here into this cell, I can press Ctrl and R. So that will copy that. So let me undo that. If you want, you can select the whole column like this. So it will copy all of these values on the right and then press Ctrl and R. So then it will copy all the values. So here this formatting has also got the right, but here because there's a formula, it has also got copied to the right like this. So Control R will copy anything else on your left to your right hand side. So then there's another way to copy as well. That is to copy paste down. Control D is the shortcut for that. So if I want to copy all of this down, I can just select the cells below and press Control D. So it will copy everything on top to the cell below. So Control D will copy down. And as an undo button, shortcut is, of course, you can come here and do undo from here. But the easy way is, let's say I made this bold and I want to undo that. Control Z will do undo. And let's say I want to redo. So there is the redo button as well. But let's say I applied fill color here. So I colored this cell yellow. And I want to do the same thing to some other cells. I can just select that and press the F4 key. So F4 key is a redo button. So whatever the last action that you did, maybe highlighting, changing it to bold, deleting, whatever, will continue to be redone as long as you keep on pressing F4. So let me undo this. Control Z, Control Z. Then if you want to open the insert dialog box to insert blank cells, let's say inside a set of data, I want to insert some blank cells. Then I can press Control and the plus sign. So if I press Control and plus, it will give this option and it will ask me what do I want, because there are cells that are surrounding with data. Do I want to shift cells to the right, shift cells down, entire row, entire column? So let's say I want to do an entire row and say OK. So it inserted the entire row along with this one cell. So let me undo that. And also, by the way, this Control plus will also insert a row or a column. So for example here, if I selected this column, and I want to add another column or insert a column, I can press Control plus. So that will add another column. So I can keep on doing that to add additional columns. Then I can do the same thing with rows as well. So let's say I selected this row and I want to insert another row. I can press Control plus. So it adds another row. So Control plus works two ways. If it's a row and a column you selected, it will insert additional rows and columns. Inside the data set, you can insert blank cells. And also we have the opposite, Control minus, which will delete a selected cell or set of cells. So here if I come here, I want to, let's say, delete this. I press Control minus. And it's asking me what to do with the other cells. So let's say entire column to delete. So it has deleted the entire column. So same way we have the Control minus option working for inserting. This should be actually deleting. So delete a row and a column. So if I want to delete this column, I can select that, press Control minus, it deletes that column. So same way, if I selected this row and I want to delete, I can press Control minus. The AutoSum shortcut is very useful when you want to insert the sum function. So AutoSum, if you come here on the home ribbon, it is here. You can see the AutoSum function is there. So here it gives you the shortcut as well. Sum shortcut is Alt and equal. So here if I want to add up all of these values, I can press Alt and equal here. So it will select the closest column of data here, and I can press enter. Also, if I do Alt equal from here, it will select the closest two columns, and then I can add that. So let me undo that. Also, at once, if I want to sum both of these columns, I can select both columns like this, both cells, and do Alt and equal. So at once it will add both of them together. And if I want to add everything to this side as well, I can select all of these cells and press Alt and equal. So it will add all of these values together. So the rows and the columns have been totaled. So here, each of these formulas have been applied. So there's another way to do auto sum in a situation like this. If you want to get the totals on this side as well as a column, you can select all of this data like this. So it will include the total column and the total row as well, and then Alt equal. See at once your summation, sum formula has got applied in all the rows and the columns on the total side. Control F will basically help you to find information. So if I press here, Control F, so it's asking me find what? Let's say I type apple and say find all. So it has selected apple. So likewise, it can find basically any value that I give it. So it can basically find anything that I want with the Control F. So then there's another option, find and replace. So that is Control H. So if I press Control H, and let's say already since I have used find that apple is there. So I want to replace apple with orange. We made one replacements. So the apple has become orange. So find and replace is useful that way. Then when you are doing flash fill, which is like this. So, flash fill helps you to auto fill data. So here we got first name and the last name. And if I want to have the full name on the other cell, I can type the first name like this, John Smith. And come down. And if I start typing the second name, the flash fill gets activated and I get a preview of what's going to be filled in. So if I press enter, everything gets properly filled down like this. But there's a shortcut we can use, that is Control E for flash fill. So I just type the first name here. And I go to the cell below and I press Control E. And automatically flash fill has got applied.
Hello. In this video, we will learn about data selection and navigation shortcuts in Excel.
Let's look at data selection and navigation shortcuts in Excel. So the first one, the control and the arrow keys will help you to navigate around data. Like here we got a data set. And let's say from here I want to quickly go to the last cell in this column. I can press Control and down arrow. And to go to the last column, Control and right arrow. And Control and up arrow. So like this, I can navigate around the data set with the control and the arrow keys. So even if it's thousands of rows below and hundreds of columns across, we can quickly navigate with the control and the arrow keys like this. Then if you want to select maybe a row or a column of data, you can use Control Shift and the arrow keys. So I can press, if I want to select this whole column, Control Shift and then down arrow. So that will select the whole column. If I want to select all the other columns also, I can press Control Shift and then right arrow. And here, if I start from here, if I want to select the first row, I can press Control Shift and then left arrow. And if I want to select all the rows, Control Shift and down arrow. So that's Control Shift and arrow keys to select a range of cells. Then after you select some cells, if you want to extend your selection cell by cell, you can use the Shift and the arrow keys. So here, if I'm over here on this cell, and I can use Shift and the arrow key, the right arrow key, to go cell by cell to extend the selection like that. And again, while pressing Shift, I can go back with the right arrow key to deselect. And also, once I select the whole row like this, I can press the Shift and then up arrow to select additional rows, and then down arrow to select additional rows below. If I selected a data set like this and press Shift and then up arrow, I will be deselecting row by row. And if I want to select, I can again go down with the down arrow. And if I want to deselect columns, I can press Shift and then the left arrow to deselect like this. And to deselect rows, the up arrow. So like this, from this corner, I can keep on selecting additional rows and columns with the arrow keys while Shift button is pressed. If I want to select this whole data range at once, what I can do is I can go somewhere inside this data set and press Control and star or the asterisk, and it will immediately select all of the data. If I want to select the whole entire worksheet, I can click on a cell and press Control A. So it will select the whole sheet. So if we click on a blank cell, it will select the whole sheet. But if it's inside a data set like this and I press Control A, it will be selecting only the data range. So it's similar to Control and the star or the asterisk here. So the only difference is if you click on a blank cell and press Control A, it will select the whole worksheet. And sometimes when you want to enter data and keep on entering data to the right like this or formulas, you can use the tab key instead of the enter key. For example, if I type in 10 here and I press tab, I go to the next cell to the right. So again, let's say I do a formula here. And then after that, let's say I want to go to the next column on the right. I can press the tab key again. So likewise, as long as I press tab, I can go to the right like this. Whether I input data or formulas or not, tab key will keep on moving to the right when I press it. If you want to go to the last cell in the worksheet, that is the lowest row and then the rightmost column, you can use Control and End. So if you press Control and End from here, you go to this cell over here, which is the last cell in the worksheet. So it's the lowest row and then the rightmost last column. If I want to go to the previous worksheet from the current worksheet that I'm located here from here, if I want to go to data manipulation, which is the previous worksheet, I can use Control and Page Up shortcut. So Control and Page Up. Now I go to data manipulation. Same way, if I want to go to the next worksheet, I can press Control and Page Down. I go to from data selection to formatting. So from the visible screen that I see over here, if I want to go one page up, let's say there's data, this page, and then I want to go one screen up, then I can use the page up shortcut. Now I go one page up. Then same way, I have the page down to go one page down. So page down goes one page down. If I want to move one screen to the left or the right on a worksheet, I can use the Alt and Page Up and Alt and Page Down. So Alt and Page Down will move to the right. So if I press here, Alt and Page Down, I move one sheet to the right. Again, if I press Alt and Page Up, I go one sheet to the left. If I want to access all of these commands in the ribbons, I can use the Alt key and then the key combination that is shown for me. So for example, if I press Alt now, see, I get these letters and these numbers. So from here, I can navigate to these commands. For example, now if I press N key, I will go to the insert menu. If I press the V key, I will go to pivot table. And then if I press the T key, I can insert a pivot table. So likewise, I can go through the letter or the number combination shown after I press Alt key to go into different commands in the ribbon. So from here, if I wanted, I could have inserted a pivot table. If I want to select a column, I can use the Control and Space Bar shortcut. So if I press Control and Space Bar, I will select this column over here. If I wanted to select a couple of columns, I can select like this and then Control and Space Bar. It will select all three columns. Again, for row selection, I can use Shift and the Space Bar. So from here, if I press Shift and the Space Bar, I select that row. If I had multiple cells selected like this, and I press Shift and Space, it will select all three rows like this. Again, after selecting a row or a column, if I want to insert another row or a column, I can press Control and plus. For example, here, I will select this column using Control Space. And they say I want to add another column. Then I can press Control and the plus button. And I have added another column. Let me undo that. Again, if I selected this row with Shift and Space Bar, and I wanted to add an additional row, I can press Control and plus. That will add another row. And also, same way, I can select a column and delete by using Control and minus. And row also, I can delete by using Control and minus. So if I select this column using Control and space, and then I can delete it using Control and minus. Same way, if I selected this row using Shift and space, I can delete it using Control and minus. We want to get a drop-down menu of data on top. Like here, we have some data, and here we want to get a drop-down menu of the options that are available on this data set. We can use the Alt and the down arrow. So if I press Alt and down arrow, I get a drop-down menu. From here, I can select whatever I want and then enter. So it's a easy way for data entry when you want to select data from top and insert below. Here I have some data, and let's say I want to add another row of 9s in between this data set. To do that, we can use the Control Shift and the left click and drag method. So let's say I want to insert this 9 row somewhere in between. I select that, press Control Shift, and then do a left click. And maybe I want it between the 6 and the 7. I'll let it go. And it will insert the 9 row. So it's added an additional row of data, and the original 9 row is also there. So it's been basically added into the data set. So sometimes you want to insert a row of data as well. So to do that, you can use Shift and left click and drag method. So let's again, I want to insert these 9 somewhere in between. So I select the 9 row, Shift button, then left click, and let's say I want it between the 5 and the 6. I will let go. And see, the 9 has been now inserted between the 5 and the 6, and it's been moved from the original location. Sometimes you have objects like this in the grid, and you want to basically snap them onto the grid so they exactly align with the corners of the grid. So to make it easy, you can use the Alt and left click and drag method. So you select one of the objects, press the Alt key and then the left click, and then maybe I want it in this corner. I will drag it to that corner and let go. So again, the next one, I will press Alt, left click, and then I will take it to the maybe edge of this corner and let go.
Hi. In this video, we will learn about formatting shortcuts in Excel.
Let's look at some useful formatting shortcuts for Excel. So the first shortcut is Control and 1, which basically opens up the formatting box. So if you press Control and 1 somewhere, it will quickly open the formatting box. So you can basically use this formatting shortcut on anything. Basically, if you select one of these objects like this, and if you press Control 1, it will open up the format shape options. So depending on what you select, the relevant formatting options are available for you. If you select a chart like this and do Control 1, the format chart area options are available for you. So the Control 1 format box shortcut key is sensitive to the context where you are using it. If you want to bold something, the shortcut key is Control and B. After you select, you can press Control B and it will bold that. So similarly, if you want to make it italic, you can press Control and I. And to underline, you can select it, and the shortcut key is Control and U. So for numbers, if you want to use a format with 2 decimal places, a thousand separator, and a minus sign for negative values, you can use Control Shift and the exclamation mark. So here if I select this and press Control Shift and exclamation mark, it gets converted to the standard number format. Again, if you want to apply the time format with hour, minute, and AM, PM, you can use Control Shift and the @ sign. So I will select this cell and press Control Shift and then @ sign. So it has converted to time format. If you want to apply a date format, you can use Control Shift and the hash sign. It gets converted to the date format. If you want to use the accounting number format, you can use Control Shift and then the $sign. So here I have got the sterling pound sign because we are based in UK. If you want to apply the percentage format, you can use the Control Shift and the percentage sign. And again, if you want to apply the scientific number format, you can use Control Shift and the caret.
Hello. In this video, we will learn about editing shortcuts in Excel.
Let's look at some useful editing shortcut keys in Excel. If you want to edit a formula, you can use the F2 key. So if you go into a cell that has a formula and press F2 key, you go into the edit mode. So from here, you can change the formula, overtype it or edit it. And also, you can use the double click method in a cell to go into the edit mode. So F2 will also take you to the edit mode. You can use the F4 key to toggle the $signs in cell references. For example, here, if I want to put the $signs in this G9, I can press F4 after going in front of the cell. I can press F4 once and I will get $signs in front of the letter and the number. So this will become a fixed cell reference. Again, if I press F4, there's only a dollar in front of the 9. So it's a mixed cell reference. Again, if I press F4, I get a dollar in front of the letter G. So again, it's a mixed cell reference. If I press F4 again, all the $signs have gone off. So it's a normal relative cell reference. So F4 key will help you to toggle between the options of the $signs for cell references without typing in your $signs manually. Control Enter is a useful shortcut key when you want to enter data out into a range or a formula you want to enter into a range. You can use Control Enter. Here I've selected this range like this. And let's say I want to enter the letter A into all of these cells. I will type in A and then it will appear on the active cell in this range, the first cell. Then I can press Control Enter. So it will apply to all of these cells and get copied onto all of the cells in the selected range. So I can do it with formulas as well. So I can use Control Enter to apply formulas to a range as well. So here on this table over here, this is a multiplication table I have done. So here I have used this formula on this cell and then copied it down and then across like this to get the table done. So I have basically done one formula and copied it down as a mixed cell reference formula. If I want to do it over here, at once if I want to apply the formula to a range, I need to select the whole range like this, and in the active cell over here, I will type the first formula, this into this. Then I will do a mixed cell referencing using F4 key. So I will only fix the end here. And again, I will use F4 and I will fix the 29 number over here. So after I have done the formula, I can press Control and Enter key. And see at once, the whole formula gets applied to the whole range. And if I double click and check here, the formula is correct on the last cell as well. So in between formulas also will be correct. So Control Enter is a quick way for you to enter data or formulas into a range. And also you can use Control Enter to remain inside the cell after you write a formula. So like here, if I write a formula here, this into 100. If I press Enter, I will go one cell below. But if I want to remain inside the cell, I can press Control and Enter key. So I remain inside the cell. Sometimes you want to enter multiple lines of data or text into a cell. So how do we do that without going across? If you want to insert one line after another into a single cell, you can use the Alt and Enter method. So if you go to the formula bar, you can type so this is, let's say I want this on the first line. So I'll type this is the first line and I will press Alt and Enter key here. Then I go into the second line. So I can check from here. If you drag the formula bar down, see I'm in the second line now. So then I can type whatever I want the second line like this. So likewise with the Alt Enter, you can keep on entering into different lines. So here I will stop it here. I'll press Enter. And here, if I expand the cell, you'll see I got two lines in the cell. The first line and then the second line. So you can enter multiple lines of data inside the same cell using this Alt and Enter method. If you want to see the formulas in your worksheet, you can use Control tilde or the backtick. So the backtick or the tilde key is over here next to your, on top of your tab key, this wavy kind of line. So that is the tilde button. So this is what you need to use. So here I have a formula. So if I want to view everything, every formula in the worksheet, I can press Control and tilde. And see, these formulas are now visible. It's expanded. I can see the formula over here. And if I go up, I can see other formulas and all the other formulas in the worksheet. So this Control tilde or the backtick is a toggle button. Again, if I want to go back to normal view, I can again press Control tilde. And now I can see the normal view. So if you want to quickly check your formulas and look at them at once, you can use this shortcut key. If you want to enter the current time into a cell, you can use Control Shift and then the colon. So I got the current time inserted into this cell. If you want the current date, you can use Control and then semicolon. So I'll do Control and semicolon. And that has inserted the date. If you want to enter the current date and time together, you can first press Control semicolon, then put a plus sign and space, and then Control Shift and colon. So here let's do that. So Control and semicolon, and then I put a space to separate it, and then Control Shift colon and Enter. So I got the date and then the time into one cell. If you want to add or edit a comment in a cell, you can use the Shift and F2 shortcut. So here if I want to add a comment, I can use Shift and F2. So I can type in the comment. And then if I want to edit that again, I can go do again Shift and F2 and I go to the edit mode. So I can use Shift and F2 to add and then edit a comment. If you want to access the formula dialog box, you can use the Shift and F3. So Shift and F3, it opens the formula dialog box from where you can insert functions onto your worksheet. So let's select some, and you can do it that way. If you want to insert hyperlinks, you can use Ctrl-K shortcut. And it will open the Insert Hyperlink dialog box. So from here, you want to add links to other sheets, or then have a text to display for that link. You can create that from here. So let's say I want to do a link to some place in the same document. And let's say I want to display the name for formatting. And select formatting from here and say OK. So I got a link inserted that will take me into the formatting box. The F9 key has two functionalities. First one is to evaluate a formula or part of a formula. Then it can also recalculate the entire file. So we'll first look at evaluating a formula. If you go to this cell, if I double click, there's a formula I have written here. And let's say I want to evaluate this part of the formula. I can highlight it like this. And in newer versions of Excel, you will see a screen tip or a tooltip like this. It's called a value preview tooltip. The 21 value is shown as the value of this part of the formula. So in newer versions of Excel, using F9 to evaluate formulas is kind of obsolete because you have the screen tips. But in older versions of Excel, if you want to evaluate the formula or part of a formula, you will need to use the F9 key. So I select this part of the formula and I will press the F9 key. And the value for that part of the formula is shown here in the formula. So from here, I need to press Escape to go back and I come out of evaluation. So let's look at another formula over here. So here I have done another formula, an index and a match combination. So here if I select this match part of the formula and I see the evaluated value is 2 with the screen tip. So if I press F9, I get the evaluated value shown in the formula as 2. So now I need to again press Escape to come out of it. So likewise, if I want to evaluate this second match formula, I can select that and press F9 again. So it evaluates to 5. So I can again press Escape to come out. So this is very useful when you want to debug formulas and find errors. So here in this cell, I have again an index and a match formula combination. But here, as you can see, I am getting the #NA error. So if I want to evaluate the formula, I could select the first match formula like this. And I could press F9. And I get a #NA. So that is because that part of the formula is having an error. So I could debug from there. So if I press Escape, I come back. So the issue here in this match function is that I'm looking for L125. So L125 is this RAV4, and that is not available in this lookup area for the match function. So only these 4 vehicle types are available. The RAV4 is not available. So when you evaluate, I get a #NA. So it's shown here on the screen tip as well. So what I can do is I could adjust this. So I have a value that is already in this list and I can press enter. So I get the same value as before. And when you are evaluating using the F9 key, you need to be careful because if you select something like this section, and then I press the F9 key, the formula is kind of replaced with the value that was evaluated. In this case, it's evaluated to 2. So if I press enter from here, the formula will be replaced with 2 for that section. So the evaluated value is replaced if I press enter. So to get out of that, I need to always remember once I press F9 and then I see the evaluated value, I need to press the escape key to come out of it. So I will just come here and do undo from here and have the formula back after the undo. So here if I don't select any of these sections of the formula and I press F9, the whole formula gets evaluated and the final value is shown there. So here, from here, if I press enter, that value will be replaced into the formula like this. So the whole formula becomes that evaluated value. So what I need to do is every time, let me undo that. So every time I evaluate a part of the formula like this, and I see the value with F9, in this case 5, I need to remember to press the escape key to come out. So then the formula remains intact. Then the other functionality of the F9 key is to calculate the entire file. So this is normally not required because Excel is by default set to recalculate every time you do a change. So that means every time you do some change in some value in a formula or some part of the Excel sheet, all your calculations or the formulas and functions are recalculated. So let me show here. If you go to File and go to Options, here under Formula section, you see the calculation options. So by default, workbook calculation is automatic. That means every time you do a change, everything is recalculated. But sometimes you may set it for partial calculation, like when you want to stop Excel getting slow, when you have a lot of data tables, for example, or if you set it to manual, where every time you need to press F9 to recalculate. In those situations, you need to press F9 to calculate. Otherwise, if you have it set for automatic, you don't need to ever press F9 to calculate. Excel automatically recalculates every time you do a change. So here, let me change this to manual and click OK. And here, let's say this formula over here is taking values from these two cells. So if I change this 20 to, let's say, 100, now this formula did not get updated. But as you can see, there's a kind of a cross that has come here across and is showing here. It's a stale value. So in that case, Excel highlights and shows you that this value has not been updated. So to update this value to the change in the value in this cell, I can press the F9 key. So once I press F9, it recalculates with the new value that I have entered. So it's always best to keep calculation as automatic. So I'll come back here, go to Options, and go to Formulas and keep it as automatic. So sometimes, as I told you, if you have a lot of data tables and it's slowing down your machine, you can go for partial. And then every time you want to recalculate, you can press the F9 key. So for now, we'll keep it as automatic and press OK. To do a spell check, you can use the F7 key. So if you press F7 from beginning of the sheet, yes, and it has brought up this January is been spelled. So it says I should go for this suggestion over here. So from here, I can say change. It says spell check is all done. So I can quickly do a spell check for your whole workbook from using the F7 key. You can use the F5 key as a go-to shortcut key. So if you press F5 key, it will open up the go-to box, and from there you can go to special. So here if I selected this range over here and press F5 and then special, out in this selected range, if I want to see any notes that are there, I can check from here constants, and if I want to check the formulas, I can select formulas and then say OK. So it shows this cell is where the formula is located. Again, if I select the range and press F5 and special, let's say I want to see the cells that have conditional formatting. So I can select from here and say OK, and it has highlighted this range where I have applied conditional formatting. Likewise with the F5 key and then go to special, you can check the cells depending on different criteria.
Hi. In this video, we will learn about file and application-related shortcuts in Excel.
Now let's look at file and application-related shortcuts. So when you want to open a file, you can use Ctrl and O as the shortcut. So from here, you can select one of the files you have recently used and open it from there. Then if you want to open a new file, you can use the shortcut Ctrl and N. So now we have opened a new file and the default name book1 has come there. If you want to close a file, you can use Ctrl and W. So I'll open this other one. So here, if I want to close this file, I'll press Ctrl and W. And that file is now closed. If you want to save a file for the first time, you can use Ctrl and S. So let me first open a new file, Ctrl N, and I will press Ctrl S to save that file. And when I go to save for the first time, it's asking me for a file name, and then it's asking me to give a location where to save. You can go to Files, Save As using the F12 key shortcut. So here if I go here and I press F12, so it's going to ask me where to save the file, and then the file name I can give from here. You can switch between workbooks using the Ctrl and the Tab short key. So if I press Ctrl and Tab, I have now gone to the other workbook, and again from Ctrl and Tab, I come back to the same workbook. So I can switch between workbooks using Ctrl and Tab key. If I want to go to the previous workbook, I can press Ctrl, Shift and Tab. So Ctrl, Shift and Tab. Now I go to the previous workbook. And if I want to insert a new worksheet, there's a shortcut key, Shift and F11. So I'm over here and I want to insert another sheet. If I press Shift and F11, another sheet has got inserted here.
Thanks for watching.